Good, so we'll begin. Are we already on the air? So I would just like to, before we begin this amazing document that we're going to learn this evening, I just want to make a sort of a general remark, and that is that on the one hand, in recent days, we have been exposed to, very painful situations, and we've also dealt with an even more painful situation of the so-called ceasefire, which is just like making everything much worse than it was before. Because there's an old cloud that if you don't finish off something, then it just makes it a lot worse. To do a thing halfway or even less is much worse than not doing anything. And unfortunately, they just keep chazering that over the whole time. Police, anyway, I don't know if I want to talk too much, but unfortunately, that's the situation. However, for this moment, what I want to bring out is that I'm told that 600 rockets altogether, something like that, were shot into this area. Now you have to realize that the damage possibility of 600 rockets is enough to ruin a whole country. Israel for sure. I mean, Israel's a small little Eretz Yisrael, small, but even a bigger country, if you send 600 rockets at it, you would finish it off. I mean, there wouldn't be anything much left of it. Yeah. And like I bring the dogma of a couple of years ago, somebody sent 4 rockets or 5, I don't know how many it was, into Saudi Arabia, and they did unbelievable damage. And people were killed, terrible, in numbers. And here we have 600. So I want to try and arouse that the Rabbi said to us on many occasions in the Dvar Malchus, the Rabbi said that we must be mafalseim nisim that they ever stood up. And this is just unbelievable net. And unfortunately, not the media, not anybody really seems to play that side of it up. Yeah, they just bring you a few pictures, how Baruch Hashem, everything's okay, but they don't really learn the Yetzer is there. And so please be outspoken, talk about it with other people, where we have an opportunity, stress to people that we are living in a small area of history. It's only a few years this has been going on, but unfortunately, it keeps going on time and time again. But there's unbelievable nisim, and there's no worry about ayin hara. Don't talk too much as you might throw. The Rebbe said clearly that it's a mitzvah gedela to be mafalseim the nisim, particularly in the pre-Moshiach period. It's very necessary to make people prepared and aware of the Gilui Elokus, which is going to appear when Mashiach comes. And that's got to do with the whole text of what we're going to learn tonight. So I'll just introduce for half a second what it is. So this evening we're going to be learning at the Dvar Malchus, the Sikh of the Rebbe, talking on base, Parshas Vayeira, Elo, and that is the Parshas Shiur, and the learning is taking place in Beis Knesset, Tzedek, Vayeira, Tika, Vayeira, Kodesh, Tsfat, and tonight is early Yud Zayin, Malchus, Toshin Pei. And we welcome all those who are at the Shiur, and maybe there's a couple of people who are also listening in. We welcome them as well. So that is in effect of my remarks, which I just made. They are in effect a very essential message of the whole amazing Sikha of Parsha Vayeira. And the Rabbi said that Parsha Vayeira means that Hashem appeared to Avraham Avinu, yeah, and that is a result of the Mila, because of the Mila and his great Mesiras Nefesh in be Makayim the mitzvahs Mila. So he was there that Hashem came to visit him, and this Vayeira Elo Havaya is a very high level in the Shem Havaya. There's different levels that you do in Shem Havaya, and this is a very high level. And the Rabbi deals, we're just summing up now. The Rabbi deals with proofs of that from the previous Parsha, from this Parsha. And Avraham Avinu was sitting at his entrance to his tent. What sitting implies what we call in Siddur Hityashvut. Helikot Isyashvat means like settled and everything like, it's Kalim and you're sitting. And yet nonetheless, the Shem Havaya in its highest form revealed itself to him, but Panemius, and it became like a part of him. Hityashvut, Isyashvat, Hu Yoshev, Kechoim Hayoim. Choim indicates the very essence of the Gilu, the highest level, what we call Etzem, Elikus Lamayla Meistalshalas, and that came down to Elo, the way he is in this world, and the way he's in the simple physical world. And that's the Mila. That's what the Mila is. The Mila is, a very, very high Madriga, also Lamayla Meistalshalas, Kumubu and Terra. And from the Alter Rebbe and Likutei Torah become a Mekaymes. And what is the Mila? It becomes part of the body of a human being. Tahainu Ayid, that the actual boso, Gashme, of the Guf of a Yehudi becomes a Kli to Etzem Elikut. And that's exactly the same idea as Vayeira Elo. And so the Rebbe said that there's a famous story about the Baal Malchus, the Baal Yom Holedes of Kof Malchus, which is only 3 days away from now, it's only 2 days really away. And so wait a minute, what am I talking about? It's 4 days away. But on Shabbos, it'll only be 2 days away. Yeah. So once you get within 2 days of a great day, you're already there. 3 days actually. So the Rabbi said, that we're right into Kof Malchus. When the Rabbi Rashab was about 5 years old, and he heard Kriyas Hatera of Vayeira Elo Hashem, he went and cried to the Tzedek, and he said, Hashem appeared to Avraham Avinu. Why doesn't he appear to me and to other Yidden? Why didn't he appear only to Avraham? And he wept. That caused him a lot of pain that he wept. And so the Rebbe said, we see that the future Nasi B'Yisrael was already showing his colors, And he said he also wants Vayeira Elo Hashem. So the Rebbe said, obviously he was a very clever child, and he knew the difference between him and Avraham Avinu, and between us and Avraham Avinu. Wasn't he aware there's a big difference? So the Rebbe said, yeah, he was. But he said that Avraham Avinu is Ovinu, he's our father. We get Yerusha, whatever he had. Whoever's a son is Yoresh, his father, completely. Yeah? And so since he was Zeicher to Yero Elo, he also wants it. He's a Yoresh, yeah. So he wants it, you know. So the Tzedek, what did the Tzedek answer him? The Holy's got a very ironclad claim, you know, the So the Tzedek said that you're right. Al Sedin Yerusha, and everybody has a certain aspect of Vayeira Elo. I'll soon explain that very briefly. He said, however, Avraham Avinu had a Behit Galut. It was Mamish Begalui that he saw Kaviyach Hashem. Yeah, Vayeira Elo. So he said, in order to get to that level, yeah, that Hashem should Mamish appear to you, but Poyo Mamish Ubi his scholars. For that, you have to be ra'ui. You know, you got to work at it very hard. And what you have through your having a milah and through learning Torah and other things, you have a certain Indian of Vayeira Elo in your. It's a makeup as a Jew. Your body is a kli, like we said, for Gilei Elokus, Alidei Milah. So the very fact that you have a milah, and the very fact that you learn Torah, and you appreciate Hashem, to a certain extent you do have Vayeira. But he said, Avraham Avinu had it in an even greater way. Avraham Avinu had it B'poyo, yeah? What we call nowadays B'poyo Mamish. Yeah? Avraham Avinu had it Mamish B'poyo. So that's basically what we've had. How did Avraham Avinu? That's what Tzedek said. He was already 99 years old, and he was maklit that he's got to be mal himself. Oh, that's a very tremendous achievement. So if you can hold by that sort of Veda, then you'll have Vayeira Mamish Begalui. So that's been the theme of the Sikha up to this point where I want to come in. And the Rebbe just pointed out that there's also a similar relation of divine elokus becoming part of your whole life and your whole makeup. And that's what happens, and that's Vayeira. It's just not Vayeira, mamish the way Avraham Avinu had it, but it is Vayeira, yeah. Hashem does appear to you, and he appears to every yid. So the Rebbe said that's the Indian of Chai Mar Cheshvan. It's the 18th. Shabbos is the 18th of Cheshvan. So the Rebbe said Cheshvan, that's one arm. That's why we call it Mar Cheshvan, because we want to give it a posh name, because except for certain Siddur Yom Tovim, it doesn't have any Yom Tovim. It's a month of what we would call ordinary Kaviyach, ordinary Malacha, and ordinary everyday life. Yeah. And that's the first month after Tishrei. In other words, after all the amazing Giluyim of Tishrei, you're put back into, how do you call it, the real essence of what you might say, the real McCoy of everyday life. You know, you face it. So the Rebbe said, what you got to do is bring Chai, yeah, Emasa Chai, the Emasa Levitikite, how do you call it? I had to say Levitikite, the Chayut, you know, of Ein Sof, Mamish, you got to bring that into everyday, how do you call it, weekdayness, you know, what's called in Yiddish Wochetikite, you know, it's everyday, weekday story, and that's Chai Mar Cheshvan. And that's because you have in yourself a bit of Vayeira, not just a bit, but you have a lot. It's just that you don't have it in the fullest form, the way that Avraham Avinu did. But the Rebbe said, you will have it taken me out when Moshiach will come. That when we'll have the Gilui or the Geula, then everybody will have the Vayeira, you will have it B'Shleima. In other words, you've already got it. Yeah, and Avram Avinu did give you Yerusha, but he didn't give exactly the way he was there. Because for that you got to have a very special zchut. That when Mashiach will come, everybody will be on that level. Everybody will be able to be Mekabel, Begolui, Vizgalas, exactly the way Avram Avinu did. So that's where I'm going to come in. And it's on page 155, towards the bottom. Riyasagilui Bagiula. Yeah? So when there'll be the Gula Shlema, then we'll have it. Bagiula Shlema, says the Rabbi. Nizke Shekol Echod Yira Es Kved Hashem. Everybody's going to see Kved Hashem. And the truth is that it's mashma that the Rebbe is saying that everybody means even the Umas Oilam to a certain extent, except for those who have devoted themselves to destruction and to killing, them not. Umas Oilam that have tried at least to be decent people, they will also see. But Yidden will see in a much higher way. They will see Mamish begotten. So therefore the Rebbe says, yeah, Nizke Shekol Echad Yiras Kved Hashem. Kenema Vayehi Einecho Lo Yeshes Moirecho. Yeah. In other words, that your eyes are going to see your teacher or your guider, meaning Hashem. We're going to see Beria Chushias Kipshute Gilui of the Ebershtar. Avamela, Oz Yishkayim, Vayeira, Eira, Hashem, Bishleimas. We got it anyway to a certain, extent, and to a very real extent. We have it through the Mila and through our study of Torah and everything. But he said to have it like Avram Avinu had, Mamish, his colors, that's only going to be, and that will be taken me up when Mashiach comes. You say to Mizu, he said, even more than that, Kol Kula Yira Es Kved Hashem. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's much more that the whole world will say. Yeah, Kenema Benigla Kved Hashem, V'ro Kol Boso. It's a Pasuk in Yoyo. And he said that what's going to happen when the Goyo comes, it's going to be Nigle Kved Hashem. It's going to be Begalui. Yeah. And Ro Kol Boso. Yeah. So the Rebbe said from now, it's mashma, not just, how he called a spiritual bosso, but Poshikim Shute bosso. Yeah? In other words, even if you're only on a level of bosso, you'll still see the Kved Hashem that Mashiach will bring. So therefore he said, the bosso atzmei, even deeper, the Rebbe said, the bosso itself will come to realize Hashem. So he says, Habriya Atzmo Tira Es Kved Hashem. It's like the deal because the Rebbe, the Rambam says that he brings the posse. I've forgotten. What's it? Mola Ha'oretz Deya Es Hashem. Mola Ha'oretz Deya Es Hashem Kamayim Liyam Machas. So the Rebbe said that the Oretz, the physical world, will be Mola Dvar Hashem, even the physical world itself. And that means that the Elokus will penetrate in a way of Gilui to everything, even to the physical world. Kipshutei. Shazuhi Amashmoish Shalchai Malchus one. Like we said, to bring into the simple world the Chayas of Elokus. That was what we said before about Chai. That will also be part of the formula of Mashiach. It will bring the Chayas of Atzmas into the ordinary world, in inverted commas, the ordinary world. He said, Gam Kof Malchus. Also, the day of the birthday of the Rebbe Rashab, he said, Gilui HaKesa, Kesa Malchus, that the Kesser of the spirits of Malchus, in other words, the immediate union of Atzma saying so, that's going to be Magur. Therefore, the word Esrim is Gematria Kesser, as the one on. And also the letter Kov is the first letter of Kesser, and that's like the Rosh Hashanah of Kesser. But the word Esrim, which is also Kov, is the actual gematria of Kesser. So the Rebbe said, that Kov, the 20th, represents a very high level. That's when the Rebbe was born. That's when he was born. Kov Mar Cheshvan. In other words, he's able to bring down that Kiloi into the ordinary world. So he said, Kov Mar Cheshvan. Kosher Geula, that's also bound up with the Geula. Kenema Hashem Yimloik Begeula Leilom Voed. In other words, Malchus is going to be everlasting. And we said that what is the Kesser? And the Emerson power behind Malchus is Kesser, Etzem Ein Sof. And so therefore it's going to be, Leilom Voed, Gilui Pnimius Ein Sof. Vayeira Elo, he said everybody's got a certain, like we learned, everybody has a certain aspect of that. That this kiloi of etzem Vayeira is going to be shared to everybody. And by the way, the Rebbe said before that even children, and he said, on the contrary, children have a mila that they are very precious. They don't know any concept. They don't know all the Kadvinas according to Seichel and everything. So when you say to them, Hashem, they mean the etzem of the Eibush. They don't mess around. That Indian of Vayeira, is very specially applicable to children. So the Yosid, that's going to be there by everybody in the highest form. The Kol Echem Yisrael, Yesh Nitzotz Minishmas Moshiach. It's one of the cloud that the Rebbe stresses on many occasions in the name of Reb Nochem Chernobyl and his Sefer, in his famous Sefer. What's it called? I forget names. I know the Sefer very well. It's forgotten. Vayeira or something.
RA9? RA9? RA9?
I don't catch. But anyway, something to do with oil is the name of his Sefer, and he brings down over there that every year it's got an aspect of Mashiach in it. Shazui etam nishmos. The Rebbe learns that that's referring to Yechida Shebenev. The mitzvah Yechida, all of us are shaykh to Moshiach. Why? Because Moshiach, according to the original, the Moshiach is the Yechida of the whole world, the whole Jewish people. So every private Yechida is part. Every private Yechida is part of the Yechida HaKloliyah. So he said every one of us, mitzvah Etzem and Nefesh, has got, as it were, a little piece of Mashiach in him. So he said, Shazui etzem nishmos, he nimmt as yoisa begiloi elzel tonoika. This is more begoloi by children than it is by grown-ups. Yadolochain aleim nema al tigu bimshicho. We bring the pasuk every day, and definitely the Hashem says to all the peoples of the world, you must not touch my Mashiachim, Lashon Rabbi. And the Gemara says, Masechta Shvuin, the Gemara brings Masechta Sanhedrin, that's referring to Tinoika shell-based Rabbi. Therefore, the Eibishter himself calls all the young children his Mashiachim, Lashon Rabbi. They're the koyach because of their simplicity. They're the koyach to reveal the revelation of Moshiach and the revelation of Hashem. She'elohem Tineka Shol Beis Rabbon, the Mishichoi, well, that's the children that are learning in Cheder, and they're showing comments out of all, that's the Moshiachim, that's the Koyach HaMashiach. אבל אומר, על ידי שיהודי, oisha, shlichusay, or that's what a year does, his shlichus in the world, the galleys as a nitzos Mashiach, boy, of a color. But he does everything he can to reveal his particular Mashiach, his inyan of Mashiach, and through that to reveal the Mashiach in the whole world. ומגלה es Mashiach HaKloli. In other words, that everybody potentially is like a small Mashiach. Everybody is how do you call it, a classical Mashiach. It's like the Chassidim always say, that a chassid is a classical Rebbe. Every chassid is got to be a small Rebbe. You know? So in the same way, all of us are a small Mashiach. But if we all do our part, then we'll all gradually join up, and meet up with the great general Mashiach, you know, by each of us producing his Mashiach. Yeah. And who is that? Mashiach Tzidkeinu. That's our Mashiach. He'll bring the Gula, like we said, not just to the Eden, not to the whole world. Einim Kloli. V'zuhi oiroa ha'ikris me Parshas Vayeira, and that's the Iker oiroa from this whole Parsha of ours, Parsha Vayeira, Kol Yehudi Tzarik Lishtoike. You have to long for and want that Hashem should reveal himself to you, like he did to Avraham Avinu. Not like you already have a bit. You are like the Rebbe Rashab, and you are mishtokek. You know, you're not satisfied. You want to have the whole hog. You want to have the whole giveaway. You know, the gilu b'shleimus from Vayeira Eivah. That's the impatience that we must have. For that giveaway. And therefore, the Rebbe says, "Kol Yehudi Tzarik Lishtoike." You know. It means thirst, you know, to long for. The last is called a toloi boy. It's not just a helicopter made on a plate. You've got to do what you can do. You have to do your part. The last is called a toloi boy. Lahovi es hagiula. Alidei peulis martimes lazman hagula. You have to make sure that what you do is appropriate to the Zman Gula. In other words, Chas v'Sholom, don't do things which are not matim to Mashiach. So how are we supposed to know what's really matim? Baruch Hashem, we have books full of Vayeira from the Rabbi. You know, all you need to do is look up. The seekers look up the indexes, and you can find out. And for Parshas, it means deepening your own kesher with Hashem and bringing that to others. You can, bearing message to other people. So the Rebbe said, if we take this whole thesis that Vayeira Olev Hashem is the right of every Jew to long for and to want complete divine revelation, and that's going to be when Mashiach will come. So he said the Inim and Kof Ma'chezvan is very connected with that, because that was Ishachai the Rebbe Rashab. The Rebbe Rashab is a small boy, and he's already weeping to his data that he wants Vayeira Olev like it was by Avraham. You know, what did he do when he grew up? He founded a yeshiva called Tomchei Tmimim. So he said, what is so special about Tomchei Tmimim? That you have to learn chassidus in a way that becomes part of you, and that will enrich your Vayeira Elo. And if you really learn chassidus the way Tomchei Tmimim meant it, then you will actually see him. You will see him begalui. That's the whole Indian of what is so different about the yeshiva called Tomchei Tmimim. It's a completely different story. because you had to learn Siddur, just like you learn Gemara and Meforshim, you learn them by Eon, over Pilpul. Yeah, you learn them by Eon, over Pilpul, and go into the depth and get all the things right. That's why you have to learn Siddur. That's what the Rabbi said about when he founded Tomchei Tmimim, would be the form of the learning of Siddur in Tomchei Tmimim. Avameli said, "B'deres hachorim hitoishvu Maila miyucheda hitoishvu." I'm sorry, Maila miyucheda bam shochas elokus Vayeira Elov Hashem. He said there's been an additional, that he called Maila, very special, being added into our lives, and that's the inyan of Vayeira Elov Hashem. Echel mioz neilad ad moharasha b'chokma chesven keser olam. He was born in the year Kisro. By the way, it's mentioned in another place that Kisro is the Aramic for Keser. In Lashon Kodesh, Keser. In Aramic, it's Kisro. So Kisro is Keser with an extra aleph. What is aleph? Aleph is aleph is so way long. So in Keser Gufa, Pneumius V'atzmius Keser is a very high dragon Keser. And also, Kisro is Aramic. And Aramic is like, a lower level than Lashon Kodesh. You do it. Well, that indicates like the Chol, they're coming down into the Chol. He brought the Keser all the way down into the Chol, you follow? And that's Kisro. Avamela umiyaz b'chol shona mazli gova. So every year when it comes to Chokmah Chesven, and it's one on the Yerushalmi tells us the mazel on a person on his birthday is more intensified, then we got a help from the mazel of the Rebbe Rashab. He said, "Kwami Yaldusay Ka'omo," right from when he was a child, as we pointed out with the story before. Of a front mioz. Shaniya Rebbe, and how much was it when he became already Rabbi? He started like more Rasha b'miyuchad, she'ainin v'shel Vayeira Elo yeh etzel kol Yehudi. The Rebbe Rasha wanted and he struggled very much. So the Rebbe says that he struggled very much that the Vayeira Elo should be by him. He came weeping to his son when he was a small boy. But he said he wasn't mistapek. He wanted that the Vayeira Elov Hashem, that he was hoping for and working for, should become the property of all the. And that's why he founded the yeshiva, Tomchei Tmimim. He said, Hadova Boilet Bo'uvda Shu Yisad as yeshivas Tomchei Tmimim. Well, this becomes very prominent in the fact that he established and founded Yeshiva Tomchei Tmimim. Of Amela Baruch Hashem, I think almost everybody here has learned in Tomchei Tmimim. And it's one on what the Rebbe said, that even if you didn't learn in Tomchei Tmimim, but even if you just walked through Tomchei Tmimim, at some point, Tomchei Tmimim left its mark on you. That's what he said. And he said, how much more so if you ate a little bit of Michael or something like that, made a bracha inside the Tomchei Tmimim or a building connected with Tomchei Tmimim, then you're a Tomchei Tmimim. Yeah, that's what the Rebbe said. Mary said he found a Tomchei Tmimim. And that's what the Rebbe said about our program. There's the infant Tomchei Tmimim. The Rebbe said it to me personally. By the way, it's not in about another week or two, or maybe a week, on Motzei Shabbos, there's some sort of program on the internet of interviews with people who tell their experiences with the Rebbe. So I have been interviewed a long time ago, and my interview is coming up in They can't tell me yet whether it's next week or the week after, but it's going to be, it's going to be centered around the Vayeira of the Rabbi found in Yeshiva, and it's going to be both in the form of interview, speech, but there's also going to be like a written introduction. And so I spoke to the guy who's done it. I spoke to him a couple of days ago, and he said they want a picture of the early days when it was first founded this year, of me with a Talmudim. So I found a picture of me right near the beginning when I was, for bringing with a group of Gafne. And one of them is Rabbi Shlomo Levin. He's quite a big rabbi in London, in Hampstead Heath and South Hampstead. It's a very big shiur, and he's a very influential rabbi. And they even suggested at one point, not now, that maybe he should even run for chief rabbi there. So he's pictured in the picture. He comes up in the picture with a group of other guys. And so they say they're gonna put it all over. That's what they say. So the reason I saw it to be important, because it's important that people know that the program at Parshas was connected with Tzemach, and the Rabbi spoke to me very, very definitely that it should be Dafka Tzemach. And that's a very interesting fact. And then they asked me all sorts of different things. I don't know how long it's going to be, but I sort of meant, but the reason I'm mentioning it, not because I want you to see me, that's not really important. It's important, the things that I bring over there, it's very important for posterity that people know that. It's important that these things don't just sort of, So the truth is, I'm trying to write a book, but it's a terrible mix-up at the moment. And I don't have time, and I don't really have koyah. So every now and then I do a little bit. Moshe Sperling helps me with it. But it's very, very, but here it's a direct thing. If it can come over, then it has a. So excuse me for the whole read. The word Tzemach stirred me out to it. Mamela, he said, Shamatorosei, he shall yomadu shom, games teres achsidas, they should learn in yeshiva, teres achsidas, inyonim elokiyim, divine inyonim, direct. But Surah Brura, Kishem Shalom Dim Sugas Begimara, they should learn Siddhas just with the same intention and analysis and how do you call it, Kalk and everything that you learn a sugi in the Gemara. Well, that's the way you're supposed to learn Siddhas. So he said, Bekat Nasa, Me'ain Ain Shal Vayeira Elo Hashem. Well, that makes like Hashem appearing to you, because you become forkot in Inyonim Elokiyim, in divine Inyonim. Then it's like Vayeira Shal Odom Yochol Diroi. He's able to see basically upon him, at least through his cycle Inyonim Elokiyim. And that's what I said at the beginning of the class. It's very, very important that we urge people that they should be mitbonen in the nisim what Hashem has done, and they will then look at the world differently. And instead of just seeing our own slipperness of the world, they will see how really everything has a divine revelation in it. It's like an unfolding of the divine plan. So it's amazing. And excuse me for mentioning but I stepped out of what I done this morning. Yaakov and I, we had a bit of a chat for a couple of minutes. We just stepped out of the yeshiva, and we thought maybe we'll stay in the yeshiva and we'll look for a quiet place. And then we said no. So we'll go up on the street and we'll find a place. So we go up onto the street. All of a sudden we meet up with a guy comes running over the road. He came from the other side of the road, and he says to me, I want you to give her a blessing. I said, about what? So he said that he has a son that was just taken into Tipul Nimrod. Yeah, so he didn't say what, but he said he's been intensive care. And he said, I have a request. So I said, if it's a question in Halacha, you must ask a Rav. Only a Rav can pass it. He said, no, I want a blessing. And he said, I noticed you. So he said, I thought maybe you'll give me a blessing. Yeah. So I stood there and I gave him a blessing. And and all of a sudden he said, oh, I feel so much better. He said, this is really something. I'll get to work and I'll go and I'll say a couple of some Tehillim, and then he said, I'm going to the hospital and I'll be machazik, my son. He said, you're really helping. All I said to him was a few words of blessing, but it just shows you that if we hadn't decided that we're going to not stay there, but we're going to go up there, but Hashem wanted it that way, so that's what happened. That's marvelous. You can see how everything is planned. So he said, when you learn in Tomchei Tmimim, and you learn Chassidus, with the Liberty Code. By the way, on Wednesday nights we learn here, my mom was there over Hashem in Rosh Hashanah, in the Hebrew. So that may make it a bit difficult for a few of the people here. But anyway, just for the record. Rabbi Miller said, the Rebbe, what happens to you is that you begin to see, at least in a very Seigeltic way, you begin to see divine things. So the Rebbe said, this is a preparation for the Geula. He said, then they're going to learn the most perfect way is because we're going to see it, it's going to be there begolui. He said, in a way that Oz kulam yeidu es Hashem. That's one on the story about the Rizal that on the Shabbos afternoon he was cupping a Manuva Shabbos, and he told this Rav Avraham Alevi that came into him, he told him that it would take him 60 or 80 years to speak out what he just seen now in the Yeshiva Shomayim. So the Alter Rebbe said, well, that's because his learning was in the form of a re'iyah. But it was a re'iyah, Amobikain. It's a re'iyah siklis in a very, very super level. The Rebbe says that when Mashiach comes, every year will be able to see even better than what there is, even more. Yeah, that's what he says. Hey. Oh, says the Rebbe, then you're going to see very real mamish. V'gamzu hoysa hamatorah shel talmidei Tomchei Tmimim. Oh, the Rebbe said in the Rebbe Rashab, in the famous Sikha that he made in Tofrei Samach Beit, he made a Sikha how the Talmidim and Tomchei Tmimim were Chayalei based on it. They were the Chayonim at the house of David. They're fighting the last war to bring Mashiach. And the Rebbe comes along in a Sikha about that, and the Rebbe said, Chayalei Beis David is Rosh Tevis Chabad. So the Rebbe said, it's a new concept in Chabad that always is supposed to be Chayalei Beis David. And he said, he didn't say it, the Rebbe Rashab said it. A picture is worth 1,000 words, yeah? That's exactly what's going to happen. You're going to see a Berea push you. Oh, says the Rebbe, that's what the whole in there Tomchei Tmimim, Not only that, but also to make you into an active person that lihilochim neved elo shechelfu ikvais mashiach. The Rabbi Rashab said that you're going to have to fight. There's a lot of quakers in the world that want to sort of laugh out Moshiach. They want to play it down and laugh it off. And he said, these Chayalei Beis David of Tom H. they're going to fight them, and they're going to bring the awareness of Elokus and Moshiach into the reality of a feel of Ra'iyah. That's what he said in the seat of Tovrei Song Beit. The Rabbi Rashab said, and he said maybe the Rebbe suggests that that's possible to say that that's what the Rambam says, that Moshiach is going to fight a war. He's going to fight the war of Hashem. So what war? What war is he going to fight? So the Rebbe said that's possibly the war. The war against the indifference and the cultivated. The working against Moshiach. He said the Talmidim, will bring the light and the awareness of Mashiach into the world. Oh, amazing, eh?
Wow. Amen.
Yeah. And he said, of the Rabbi adds, that is Rosh Hashanah's Chabad. Yeah, I love him. Adlane Chochin HaMushlam. And the Rambam says he's going to be in a Tzeyach. He's going to win. He said, what is the victory? He's going to bring Mashiach v'Yizgalet, HaMashiach, the Gilu Mashiach. And that's what we saw before, not just Vayeira in a certain level, but Mami's v'Yizgalet. Everybody's going to have Vayeira Elo Hashem. Mami, very, very powerful. Yeah. So the Rebbe said, Zeh Mudyash b'miyuchad ka'is. At our time now, Doreno, is everything all right? Doreno. So the Rebbe, La'achar Shloisha Doros Mi'ah Rebbe Rashab. We've already gone through 3 Doros since then. So the Rebbe said, Nish Lemes Avidosam Shel Chayalei Beis David, Lahavos Mashiach. Once you got 3 times over, then he got a powerful chazaka, had a good fixture in the world. Since the 3 full generations, and they've been working at that, then this is the time, and this is the fitting moment that it should actually come about. Kafisha Omar Rebbe Rayaz, but he's the son of the Rebbe Rashab. Shekvan Istayimo Aveda Umuchonim Lamashiach. The whole Aveda has been completed, and now we're ready. The famous Moshe with the Chayalim standing in the parade, waiting for the general. They've already polished the buttons. Not just those buttons, the buttons on the shirt. When I was in the Australian Army, we had to polish our buttons. I had a special etiquette like Mishcha that used to polish the buttons. Yeah. Over here, they got no time for that. In the Australian Army, it was all mine. Every morning you had to polish the button. The Rebbe said, the Rebbe Rayat said that it's already occurred. It's already over 40 years. There's another 40 years, not just 3 generations, but there's an extra 40 years. And the Rebbe said, that after 40 years in the desert, Moshe Rabbeinu said, now you're fit, now you have ears to hear and eyes to see. This was already the 90th year of the Rebbe. And this is the amazing thing, that the Rebbe is just talking about Mashiach and Chayla Beis. All of a sudden he goes with his own capital, What's that got to do with it? It's very fascinating. He said, but the rain is there, and Nimtik Babish Nasatzadi, but he loves the Rebbe, a lot of the Rebbe himself. Achrei Mizmor Peites, but Tehillim, And he said, we're finished Pei Tes and we're starting Tzadi. So he said, at the end of Pei Tes, it's written, and then he said, Mizma Tzadi, Mistayim Bamila, Koinanehu. How to say it? Yinoyam Hashem Lakeinu Aleinu, Masa Yodeinu Koinu Aleinu, Masa Yodeinu Koinanehu. Akoshu Lebeis HaMikdash. Olav Nema Midas Hashem Koinanu Yodecha. In other words, the base of Midas is going to be Koinanehu. Koinai. That's hidden in the last words of and at the end of Pei Tes, it's written Asher Cherpu Mikvas Ikvas Mishichechu, what we just bought, and then it's written Baruch Hashem Li'olam Omen Omen. Yeah. So the Rebbe is very rare in scripture, a double Omen. It says it, Asher Cherpu Ikvas Mishichechu, Baruch Hashem Li'olam Omen Omen. That's like, a double signing off or signing on to Mashiach. V'shana zu anikra b'shnas atoshem nibeis Rosh Tevis hayei tahei shnas nifrois ba'koyo nifrois kosher legeula alei anema arenu nifloi u'l'toyre chodosha shegami tiyeh nifloa. And the new Torah that Mashiach will bring is also nifla, wondrous. But b'chol, u'ba'koyo, nifla is ba'koyo meira ala toiva mushlemet shetiyeh b'geula, k'fi shechachmeinu zal, l'meidim mimilas ba'koyo, shenemra eitzel ha'ovesh, it's written by Koil Mikol Koil, by Avram, it's written by Koil, by Yitzchak Bar Koil, and by Avram Avinu, by Yaakov Avinu Koil. Aber mehr so ist bei Koil, שנאמר אצל עובד, שתימון הקודש ברוך הוא מאין עולם הבא. You've already got עולם הבא, מאין, you're already tasting it, you're already moving in. And it's all there, and Hashem is going to bring it, take over me. Therefore, it says, Kol is connected with Kesa. Kesa is the Ika Giloi, which is going to be the day Moshiach, the Shiur Shumaka of Etam, Elakus, Lamayla me Kol HaShtosras, and that's Kof Malchus. And that was the whole thing that the Rebbe wanted for everybody. And therefore, he was a boy, and he said, why don't we have a... So the Tzedek said, you have to be really ready. So the Rebbe says, now we're really ready. It's a different situation. So, Amen. Hashem Shalom. Et Kaiti Elano Vaponya. Vayeira, Malchus, Mama. The Rebbe said, if you have Giloi peace, godless, then you'll be different. You'll see everything differently. And that's what the Rebbe wanted with Don't Hate Me, man. That was all that, Amel Hashem. Now there's over there, Baruch Hashem, Le'olam, Mi'olam, Ad-olam, Omein ve'omein.
Amen. Amen. Yehuda, can you maybe get the information about the program that the Rabbi is talking about? What's the Shabbos program?
Maybe before we leave, somebody will ask me what it's now. I don't have a pen
Daniel, can you write him a note asking him to tell us how to find that program that what's the Shabbos?
I'll give you paper.
Okay. Thank you. I didn't Getting out food?
That chubby that was left now, he comes on Shabbos morning to our Shiur. He comes, he's very regular. I teach a Shiur Shabbos in the morning. He's very regularly comes. I told him very lovely folks, very nice folks. Very nice.
Just finished, but we're getting started on the food.
And depends which direction you're looking in.
I see you're out to conquer the peanut gallery.
Bring it up to the Kedusha.
Conquer.
So there's a special call given.
Here is some Malay, I haven't seen you for a while.
I have visitors, they're visitors. I have a sefer for you. I have a sefer for you.
Sorry?
A sefer.
Thank you.
Oh, wow. Oh. Yeah, that's from Rabbi, right? Yeah, how much? Wow, that's really nice. Wow. So, of course, I think it's based on the summer. He was a great he was a great cook. Oh. Oh. Can you please make sure someone gives you Huda or Yishai information on the internet program you recommend? Well, what in that?
So that we can watch it. So we can,
Motzi Shabbos.
Yeah.
The program you mentioned.
Not this Motzi Shabbos, but it could be the next one, or maybe the latest. The next
whenever
one.
it is, some of us want to watch it.
I'll try to let you guys know exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Did he say how much it's? I'll give him how much. He comes to my house. Wonderful.
What is the Tikkun Zohar? What is the Tikkun Zohar? What is the Tikkun Zohar?
When does he come to my house?
No, the book, the Tikkun Zohar. What is it? What is the difference between Zohar and Tikkun Zohar?
I forgot.
What's the difference between Zohar and Tikkun Zohar?
Oh. So they're two separate words. The Zohar is one in, the Tikkun Zohar is another in him. But the Kabbalah tells us that the Tikkun Zohar is also from the Rabbi Shimon, but Talmido, just like the Zohar. Understand? But it's Tikkunim is like ornaments or extra additional beautification. So the Tikkun is like extra points that help you to deepen and beautify your knowledge of the Zohar. You follow? Therefore, some people learn, there's altogether 40 tikkunim. So some people learn that from Rosh Chodesh Elul to Yom Kippur, every day you say a portion of the Tikkun Zohar. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah. So, and that like leads you into the Zohar. And therefore, Friday afternoon, the Posik Yadiyahu is from the beginning of the Tikkun Zohar. It's like the opening of the Tikkun Zohar. Pardon?
What is the difference between Zohar and
So, it's there's a Shem Shalom. So you should realize that the whole Indian, yeah, you're right. Well, this may be take a bit of this is a donor, right?
Yeah. I can remember. Thank you.
So,
Thank you, Yaakov.
that was the Indian of, that we see described here so vividly on the part of the Rabbi, what is like the central aim of the Tzemach movement. As you should realize that the early Talmidim and Tzemach movement, they were all very amazing people. They were. I remember Reb Nachum Goldschmidt, Oliver Scholem, he once said to me that some of the main Talmidim in Tzemach Mem, the original Tzemach Mem, had they been in by Polish Siddim, it could be they would have been at Moira. Could be they would have been at Moira, yeah. Because he said that they were very, very elevated people, you know, and Masiras Nefesh, and it's just absolute, and yet with a pshitas, you know, with an obvious flow, there was no question, you know, about it. It was just amazing. And therefore, Rapoli Khan, Oliver Sholem, he wrote a book called Chayalei Lubavitch. And why did he call it that name? Because that's what the Rebbe Rashab called the Talmidim in that famous Sikha that we mentioned here, Chayalei based on it. So he called the name of the book Chayalei Lubavitch, and he writes there a small life story of a whole number of the original Talmidim, and you get this amazing picture of Bali and Masiras Nefesh, you know, and people. And what's important to notice that all of these people became public leaders. Let's say either Shoichet or a Malamed, but they, in those days especially, they were central figures in the community. the Shoyret was already very honored and the Rav Rashab particularly wanted that in a lot of the places in Russia that the Shoftim should be from the village, because, a person who's been through Tom Hidrim, he's going to be very careful and very, reliable when it comes to all the inyanim of Shechita, all the halachos connected with it. And then the Amalamed is also a very important person because he puts into the children, like we just learned, the Mashiachim, the Emerson Mashiachim, are the Tinoikas, So Amalamed he's like a guide to these miniature Moshiachs, So he's a very important person. And those that didn't become Shotim or Malamdim, they became Rabbanim, people that led the communities in a remarkable way. And they fought against this tremendous influx of the communist influence that was already growing and the influx of the modern so-called Aschola pros and all the rest of it. Hashem Yerachim, they stood firm and they took a tremendous, courageous and yet very, very definite stand against all of these inyanim. And therefore they became Rabbonim, because a Rav is the sort of person that he has the ability to have that type of influence, And therefore they became Rabbonim or Mashpiyim. And even those who were, very big oivdim, and people who spent hours and hours learning and davening, they went out to distant towns, and they became Rabbonim or Malamdim or Mashpiyim to communities. They set the example of preparing the world for Mashiach, like we saw here in the amazing Sikha, preparing the world for Giloi Elikus. Vayeira Elo, to make that the property of all the Yidden. So therefore, I want to tell you a little story. I think I may have told you the story. So if you've already heard this story, then you'll tell me and maybe you can all up a slope or something. But maybe you might be suspected of that level. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's all part of the wondrous game. So, when I first came to Kfar Chabad, Mamish, the first visit that I made to Kfar Chabad, first of all I went to the yeshiva in Lod. In those days the yeshiva was in Lod. And I got a little bit sort of settled there and everything. But I had certain messages or shlichas that I had to carry out, in Kfar Chabad, because some of the people in Melbourne wanted me to give greetings and to bring things even, small packages or what, to people in Kfar Chabad. So I decided one day, when it seemed to me that I had a good opportunity to visit Kfar Chabad. I'd never been there before, first time. So I came to Kfar Chabad, and I visited one or two people, and then I wanted to give Makayim a shlichus of my mashpia, that he told me I must go in and see one of his relatives by marriage. I don't think he was a blood relative, but I think he was like through marriage, but he was a mechutan, in some way, with Reb Zalman. And he was like a very leading figure in Kfar Chabad. He was what you might call the deputy Rav. Are you with us? No. He was like the, what does that mean? That if the old Rav Shneer, if he, for some reason, was away or he wasn't feeling well or whatever, he wasn't able to paskin on certain shilas for technical reasons, then he would take over and he would with the Rav's permission, he would paskin the Shiur. He was very, very learned, tremendously learned person, because he'd been a Rav in Russia. I'll soon mention that. So he was one of the early Talmidim in Tzemach. And so I get into his house, and here is this very citizen yet sitting there. And he greeted me very nicely, and I told him I was bringing him greetings and so on and so forth. So he immediately, he said to me, you would like to hear a story. I don't know how he told me that I would like stories, but he said, yeah, do will tell on my. He said, you'd like to hear a story. So I said, I'm certainly not going to, I'm certainly not going to oppose the idea, So first of all, it sort of went into what you might call development to Shlavim. That he offered me some cake and tea that his Rebbetzin brought to the table. And as he moved things a bit in my direction, I noticed that his right hand was all malformed, It had like he had two fingers that he couldn't move them apart, and the other fingers were slightly crooked. So, I never said anything, but I just happened to notice it. So he sort of saw my observant glance taking that in, and he said, he said to me in Yiddish, you're looking at my hand, and I said, no, that's all right. I just noticed that, he said, I'll tell you the story, how I got that hand. He said, I wasn't born that way. He said, I'll tell you how I have it. Yeah. Wow. So I thought, some gruesome story. This is what he told me. That it's well known that at the time that the Rebbe founded Tzemach, and all around about that time, when there was the whole trouble with the Bolshevik revolution, and there was this militia was fighting this army, and this army was fighting. So there was a whole thing that different big semi-official bodies tried to militarize all the youth, had to go be legatus or something, And so sometimes you would be faced with you had to report to a Giyus. And if you didn't, it was like a threat that you'd be shot, And there would be notices even in the street about that, So he had to report, had he called for the Giyus. And not only him, but several others from Tzemach also, they had to go. So it was like this, that on Simchas Torah, after the Akovos, by day, the Rebbe Hashem used to sit specially, and he would receive all the Bocharim who were going to the Giyus, all those who got a report to the Giyus, and he would, with Mamish Navua, he would tell each of them what's going to be with him, or he would just give a straight prophet that you're going to be all right, or you have to do cut for cut. And if you will do that, then you'll avoid that. And some he would tell them that they're going to have to go, but they'll be all right. All sorts of amazing nevuas, and each bocho would stand in the Torah, and here we go. So there was a man who lived in Lubavitch at that time, that he knew how to malform a hand, you follow? He knew how to mess around with fingers, that if they saw at the gears, they saw that hand, they would put you immediately. You can't, be a fighter and can't work weapons if you got a hand in that state. And that was called in Yiddish, Machana Hantole. So there were only certain people that the Rebbe Hashem said that to. He didn't say that to everybody. There were certain people that he said to them, you have to make yourself a bit mashugah. You have to make yourself a bit mashugah. And to others, you would say, you have to do this. And to certain people, he said, you have to machahantaleh. So, when you went to this man, he would make you this hand, but he would promise that within a year and a half, it would go back, it would straighten out and it would go back.
The Rabbi Rashad promised, who promised?
That was part of that was like part of the, of course you had to pay, it cost money.
Yeah.
Part of the deal was that he said it would go back. So he said a lot of guys did it, and a lot of guys got malformed hands, and they got out, okay. And he said, and within a year or two, he said it came back, everything was fine. He said, I got a malformed hand, I got off, they saw that and they immediately pardon me. He said, oh, but my me, it never came back. He said, but me, it never went back to normal. He said, that's why I'm like that. And he said, that's because the Rabbi himself told me that I have to machana hamtal. You understand? He said he did it. We're talking about the Mashugah. He told me that there was one family that the Rebbe Hashem said to the Bocha, you have to machana hamtal. You also have to make a. So he went on and he told his parents, and they said, oh, we don't want you to malform your hand. You know, we don't want a son with a malformed hand. So he was terribly upset because he said, but the Rebbe said to me that that's what I got to do. They said, no way, you make yourself mashugah, you know, and then that will be fine. With that you'll get it. And we want to have this whole business with a malformed hand. So he went and he made himself mashugah, and they laughed at him, they took him. You know? And he had a terrible, after a huge gilgulim and all sorts of terrible, he eventually got wounded. And because he was wounded, he came back behind the lines, and then he fled. He ran away, which is very, very dangerous. He ran away, and eventually he got out. So somebody once asked the Rebbe, why doesn't he tell everybody? You know, the cleanest way is just to act mashugah, and they'll free you, you know. So the Rebbe Hashem smiled, and he said, "Kedei lahatzliach," he said, "Daven zayin api yisrael." He said, in order to be matzliach, you have to be a little bit. Therefore, he said he doesn't say it to everybody. But he said, Machana Hantele is also a special lineage with child to some people. It's not child to everybody, only to certain people. You know, so he was one that the Rabbi said to me, you have to make a Hantele. And I saw the physical embodiment of the Rabbi's brother. But he said that he just, you know, he went in, they took a look at it, and they straight away gave up and done it. Yeah, you're not assaulted. Straight away, no, it's what, you know. So anyway, what did he want to tell me? He was a big about Kishrenas in learning. He was very much clear in his learning, you follow? So after he'd been in Tochei Tzemach a couple of years, all of a sudden the Rabbi says to him that my father wants to speak to you, and we fixed you a time to go in and speak with the Rabbi Rashad. At this and this time, you're going to have a yechida. So Kahoyat came the time, and he went in to the Rabbi Rashad. So the Rabbi Rashab said, the time has come now. He said, I want you to learn your Adea. I want you to learn Isavaheta. It's called, in those days, they used to call it Isavaheta, and I want you to learn. Follow? So he said, but you know, he's in the middle of his studies in Gemara and everything. The Rabbi said, now is the time. It's a good and fitting time you should learn. He said, I want you to learn it very well, and to get a very good smicha from a leading role. It should be a very good, how do you call it, smicha. So he dropped his how do you call it, his Gemara learning, and he started learning everything. He was very brilliant. He worked tremendously hard, and not like nowadays. They just learn a few simonim with English order, they get a smith. But this was really knowing the base Yosef and all the background and whatever. He learned very, very hard. So he gets hit by a very leading row. I've forgotten who it was, the row. He mentioned to me what row it was, and he ended up with a very good. He ended up with a very good smicha. So he reports back to the Rebbe Rayat, and he says he has Hashem. This is taking a long time, and he's not getting any younger either. So the Rebbe said that's good, and he'll report to. It's very good. He'll report to his father. He'll tell his father. So it goes through a couple of days, and he meets up the Rebbe Rayat, and he says, "My father wants to see you again. You have to come in for another thing." So once he goes to the mikveh, gets himself ready, and he comes in. The Rebbe himself said, "I'm very pleased here that you got a good smear in Isaveta." He said, "Now I want you to learn Evan Hayes. I want you to learn Shulchan Aruch Evan Hayes. I want you to become a Dayan. I want you to learn Dayan." But that's Kedushin and Gittin and all those, he sort of hesitates. The Rebbe sort of looked at him and said, "Are you hesitating?" I said, "No, of course, right." So the Rebbe said to him once again, "I want you to do it very thoroughly, and I want you to get dayanas from the right people." So and he studied very, very hard for a long time, and he learned, all the background and everything, and he got how do you call it? He got a dayon, He got this certificate of a dayon from Great Rabbi. So he meets up with the Rabbi Rayat. Are you interested in the story? If you're not, we can finish up. You've already heard the story. You forgot it already. Everybody's interested. If not, we
Yeah, come on.
So he meets the Rebbe Rayat, and he says that he's completed the whole dayonas and everything. So the Rebbe Rayat said to come into my office. I have to discuss something with you. He come in, the Rebbe Rayat was very, very sort of tremendously sobering look. He had this piercing, divine countenance. So he's already shuddering. The Rebbe looked at him very seriously, and he said, "It's mamish kocher that you have completed the dayonas now." He said, "Because it's come to my father a very serious question in an aguna. An aguna means a woman that's left, and her husband is reportedly dead, but we don't have any aiders, or there is a certain aid, but we're not sure. We don't know for sure if the husband died. So that's what's called a shaila of a heta aguna. And it's a very, very delicate matter in the law. It's not so simple, but we don't want to leave a woman, alone for the rest of her life. She can't remarry. So we struggle to find a way that maybe." So he said, "There's a very difficult question of an aguna has come to my father," and he said, "My father said he would like to have your chavas da'at. He'd like you to write out your opinion." So, he fills off the chair, and he says, "But, please, you have to understand, I just finished, I'm a novice, Baruch Hashem, I got through the tests. You know, I know the basic material, but I'm a novice, you know. So the Rabbi said to him, you're a novice, but you're unser atonement. You know, you are a Talmud of him. Meaning, so he said, my father wants to hear. So he said, I'm going to give you all the details of the question, and you have time. It's not a rush. We can't rush into a question like that. And you study all the details, look up wherever you want to look up, and you give me your opinion. You know? So he goes into, you know, for weeks and weeks. He studies all this material, and he gets involved. And he gets deeper and deeper into all of it. He looks up all the Sforim and a lot of Shiurs and Tshuvas, you know, about this and all this stuff. And he just becomes, you know. And in the meantime, he got married. He exactly when the date was before he started this or after, but he met his Rebbetzin and he got married. He's already a young man. So he's studying, he's devoting his whole time. In the end, he gets like an opinion. He forms an opinion in his mind. And so he wrote down on paper his whole Chavos Da'at, you know, what his opinion. He bought this source, he bought Shiurs and Tshuvas, he bought this, he bought that. And he made it all very Masuda, and he reported to the Rabbi. The Rabbi took him into the room, and they sat down, and he sort of, with a shaking hand, you know, he pulls out his piece of paper, with more than one piece, he pulls out his whole manuscript, where he's written his whole opinion, his tshuva, and he gives it over to the Rabbi. So he said, what did the Rabbi do? He said, the Rabbi sat straight, and he put on his reading glasses. He put on reading glasses, and he lifted up the manuscript, and he started reading it with great attention, you know, line after line. He could see the Rabbi following the whole thing. And he's sitting there, you know, he said the metal was building up the whole time, and the Rabbi is reading, and he's there, you know, he's sitting there. He's reading, and he gets to the bottom of the first page, and he turns over, and he's reading with this tremendous attention, you know, everything he's written, his mouth's going out of his kalim. So in the end, the Rabbi finished reading, and he folded it back, and he put it down on the table, and right alongside the Rabbi was a packet of cigarettes. So what the Rabbi did was he picked up the packet of cigarettes, he opened it, and you know, in the old days when you offered somebody a cigarette, you pulled out a cigarette, and you just pull out and give it to them. You offered them the packet, but the cigarette was sticking out at the top, right? So that's what the Rabbi does. He pulls out a cigarette from the thing. He pulls out a cigarette from the thing. And he goes like this, and offers him a cigarette. So he, at the moment, he didn't know what was going on, because he didn't smoke. He said that he never, in his life, he never touched a cigarette. So he, for a moment, you know, like naively, he thought, well, you know, I don't smoke, you know, but, you know, I can't really take the cigarette. You know, that's what he thought for a moment. So he sort of hesitated, you know. So the Rabbi sort of held, and he pushed the cigarette with his thumb a bit further up, you know what I'm saying? And then he sort of, like that, he offered to him very strongly, you know. So all of a sudden, you know, it dawned on him that this is, you know, like a schooler, you know, he's not offering him, you know, what sort of a fool is he sitting as? So of course he put out his hand trembling, and he took the cigarette, and he put it in his pocket, you understand? And he said, I still have that cigarette today. That's what he said. Yeah. He said, Baruch Hashem, over all the years, he never lost the cigarette. He still got it. You know? So then the Rabbi smiled. You follow? That he'd taken the cigarette. So he didn't have the ois to say to the Rebbe, no, what do you think? So he said, Be'ez Hashem, ich weiß mein Taten. He said, Be'ez Hashem, I'm going to show my father. But then he realized that the offer of the cigarette, that was maybe like a acknowledgement that it's a very good piece of work. Until he understood that it was like, on the one hand, a reward, but on the other hand, it was a recognition. So the Rebbe Rashab sees the tshuva, everything, and he goes through a few days. He said, my father wants to see you again, the third time. So he goes into a third time with the Rebbe Rashab. He said, the Rebbe Rashab this time was very, very, serious. He said, when the Rebbe Rashab was serious, it was mamish, oil. So it was mamish, So he just sat there. The Rebbe Rashab said to him, he has information that there's a village, a city in Bukhari or somewhere, and he said, the Rov there has left, or retired. He said, they don't have a Rov right now. He said, I want in dem Shtetl soll sein unser junger Mann. He said, I want in that town should be a Talmud of Tomchet Mem. You follow? That's what he said. So, he's starting to, to shake. And the Rebbe said, after I saw your tshuva and everything, he said, I got Machlit given, you've got the job. You follow? You're the one. So he just mamish falls off the chair, but he gets back on the chair, but he's sort of mamish shaking. And he says to the Rabbi Rashab, he said, Rabbi, ich hab Vayeira. He said, Rabbi, I'm afraid. And what did he mean? He didn't mean he was afraid of the goyim, or he was afraid of the weather, or the snow, or who knows what. He didn't mean that. He meant he's afraid of the achrayas. It's a big achrayas. It's a big town full of a lot of Spanish Yidden, Bukharish Yidden, Spanish, also and it needs a lot of attention, and it needs a lot of achrayas. There'll be questions, and there'll also a shaylas. It's an achrayas, So he said, Rabbi, I don't want to take the achrayas. So he said, all of a sudden, the Rebbe Rashab smiled. And he said, when people who know, and who saw the Rebbe Rashab, said that when he was serious, it was oil. But if he smiled, it was like the sun came out, all of a sudden the whole room would change, He said the Rebbe smiled, a very beautiful smile at him. And you know what he said to him? He said in Yiddish, Zoit and Shikan, Einer was a hot nishkamoira. And he smiled at him again. He said, should I send somebody that he's not afraid? You get the point.
Yeah.
He said, the Rebbe said, there was only then chicken I know was a hot nishkamoira, and he smiled at him, So all of a sudden he said the whole, the whole world of reality settled on him. And he realized that he's going to take the slichas, No way he's going to get out of this, So all of a sudden he sort of straightened himself up in the chair and he said, Rabbi, when forig, when am I leaving? You told me, when I'm leaving. So the Rabbi Rashab said, we'll inform you soon of what date and everything, but in the meantime, start packing.
What about the Aguna? What about the Aguna? What was the answer?
What about the Gula?
The Aguna.
Oh, the Aguna? I don't know. He never told me what happened. I don't know. That's a good question. I must admit, he never told me that. But whatever he said, that was very near on to the Rebbe Rashab.
What was his name? His name. The name of that.
His name was Rav Yaakov Yitzchok Yaakov Glasman. Glasman. And he was the father of a Yid called Shalom Bey Glasman. I don't know if you knew him. Yeah. I knew Shalom Bey very well. And that was his father. He was an amazing. He used to dump bariga, even though he wasn't a young man. And he used to dump bariga, and he used to answer shilas. And he would on the spot. He would answer. He was mamish. And that's dumb. They say he was very, very tremendously learned, you know. And yet he greeted me with his cane, you know. He received me very, very warmly and very nicely. And he told me the story about his hand. And then he said, I know you want to hear a Maisa. So he told me this whole Maisa. And here I am sitting there, you know. I'm just a newcomer, you know. Well, Baruch Hashem, that I knew you did. If I hadn't have known you did, I wouldn't have. But he didn't talk very good Hebrew, you understand? And he wanted to talk in Yiddish. So if I hadn't known Yiddish, I wouldn't have got to that whole story, you understand? Oh man, that's an amazing thing. And that's Tomchei to him, you follow? Does it Tomchei to him? Should I then somebody that he doesn't have? Fear of Achrayim. Yeah, that's Tomchei to him. The Emerson to him, they were frightened only of Achrayim. And if you learn some above, in the second Hampshire, there's a whole series of memoriam where the Rebbe says the Emerson authority in Torah is something that he's always afraid, you know. Not that he's afraid, that's for sure. He's afraid of not being Mechavan the Kavanah. You know? He wants to be Mechavan the Emerson Kavanah. You follow? And that's all. You know. Why? Because he's got a gilui of Vayeira Elov Hashem, you know. He's prepared to fight, Pneumias, exactly. And he's prepared to fight, the world to prepare it for Mashiach. For those who go against the idea of Mashiach, and he brings to Baruch Hashem Le'olam, Omein Pi, Omein. You follow? He brings, the real issue of Kilei, of Vayeira Elov Hashem. And so, just imagine, here I am, a new novice come from Australia, you know. I spoke a bit of Hebrew, but Yiddish Baruch Hashem I spoke, and I'm exposed to this personality and this most amazing story that he told me, you know. I didn't ask him to tell me anything. He offered, out of Ahavas Yisrael, out of love, he offered to tell me the story. But that also indicates the personality of these great people, that they had tremendous ahava towards another Yid, They had an emes ahava. So I'll finish this whole with another little Maisa that I was able to know. Reb Shaul Ber Zislin, the Rashad Zislin, he was a Mashpia in Lubavitch in the first Tomchei Tamim. And he was Marek Yomim, and he came to Israel towards the end of his life, and he had a small shul in Tel Aviv. He was that was his parnasa. He was like a rov in a shul. He was very brilliant. And he was appointed by the Rebbe as a mashpia in Tomchei Tamim. So I had the privilege of meeting him. And where did I meet him? I met him in Rapinia Altoiz's house. And how did it happen? I came up one day, I needed to meet Rapinia about something important. He helped me a tremendous amount. I was already a chazan. It was a short time before the chazan. I need to organize something and get help. I didn't know exactly how to go about it. So I come up and I come into the house, and he had come early, and he was also waiting for Rapinia to come. He loved Rapinia very much, And he also wanted to talk to him about something. And he was sitting on the couch, like in the sort of small salon, or small big room. And I come in, and there's only the two of us, him, and all of a sudden he sees me. So, and I see this, very special face with a white beard. I'm not a goylem, so I could tell straight away there's somebody very special. And all of a sudden he stood up and he jumped. He came over to me and he gave me a hug. He hugged me up and he gave me a little kiss on the forehead. And he said, Shalom Aleichem. He said, what's March to? And we gate this by the how's everything? And so I said, I said, Yiddish, things are going well. I thought to myself, I don't really know this guy yet, but he sort of was very, very tremendously warm and positive, How is it going and how are things with you and what's happening and him and how? So I answered him as capably as I could. In the meantime, Rapinia comes in, So he and Rapinia greet one another and everything. Then he pulls Pinia slightly aside over to the other side of the room, and he thought I couldn't hear. He apparently thought my hearing was like it is today. But in those days, I had good hearing. So he, what he said to Pinia? He said, "There I go, Pinia." He said, "Where is that man?" He said, "Who is this guy?" He didn't know me from a bar of soap. The first thing is a braise, a kush on the forehead. How are you doing? What's happening? Everything okay? Is everything working out? He didn't know who the heck I was. But that was the Avos Yisrael from these people, from the Tmimin, the very first one. So that is like the oil that lubricates all the machine, That makes the machine function. Yeah, Vayeira Elo, Omein V'Omein. So be well, everybody. Have a good Shabbat. I'm sorry I held you up long, but I thought they were positive story.
Rabbi,